hosting the Frugal 5 meeting this month. That's a quarterly meeting that the branch, St. Joe, Cass, us, Lanaway, and Kalamazoo. I call it Frugal 5 plus 1. I give Kalamazoo a hard time saying, how do you call yourself frugal? They're building a $60 million facility, but anyway. Anyway, that's kind of along the same lines as
Isn't Berry County in that too? Berry County is a part of that. So we're at the meeting in Cass County.
Yeah, sometimes. But, and they're changing managers right now too. But, so we hosted it on the 24th at 10, and we're going to have it at the Lewis Henry. And I just wanted to know who wanted to go so we can put in the reservations for.
I'll go.
I'm out of town for Sunday 24th.
Right, we'll make it.
Okay, so 3 of you? Okay. That's what I need.
I'm assuming October 24th, correct?
Yes. Yes. Other than that, we have a little issue on Woodbridge Road. There's an Amish farm there on Woodbridge Road that is elected to fill in our property that we own and try to put a drive going across our property, then across the St. Joe with a bridge into their pumpkin field. And have one of their little structure/phone booths sitting over there too. So I got a call the other day that was happening and we might want to go out there and take a look at it. So we went out and took a look. I talked to the individuals that run/own the farm. Apparently they spent about $1 million to buy that farm whole thing there, and they didn't know they couldn't do that. So I've asked them to stop doing anything with the property owned by the road commission. No more fill to go over there and to remove the phone booth from that property. And so I said, we'll come back in a couple of weeks and see what's going on. If they still seem to be using that drive or doing something there, to be honest with you, I'm going to ask Kevin to have a crew go out there and dig the ditch back out across there. And cause I mean, they filled in 10, 12 foot deep going out across there. Because the road's here, it kind of goes down into some kind of wetlands, and they filled it right up.
So is this south off of?
Right across from Eastern Days there. You know where Eastern Days there?
Yeah.
Right across the road.
So south of Montgomery Road.
Yes.
What, about a quarter or a half a mile somewhere?
Maybe an eighth of a mile.
If that. And they've actually even told them there is another little wedge section on the east side of Woodbridge that we still own, that they've got fenced off for the cows. And that the post out there in the middle of the field is actually the corner post to the property. So he said if you move your building over to here, make sure you move it onto yours and not just onto ours over here. We'll see how this all goes. They were very polite and nice while we talked to them, but I didn't get the feeling that they were going to be too receptive to doing anything. So.
Well, they couldn't have bought a farm that was landlocked. So some way they can get to that farm.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to go out on Montgomery Road.
There used to be a road, I guess, that went through there. There's 2 old bridge abutments. They're crumbling. They say they're good, but they're planning on putting a deck across those and just make a road across the property.
So does the Hillsdale County Road Commission own that property because it used to be a road and we didn't abandon it?
Back when that
Probably.
bridge got bad, they moved Woodbridge Road to the east.
Oh, okay.
So they only had to do one bridge on Montgomery Road instead of one on Woodbridge and one on, that's why the 2 Woodbridges don't line up anymore. They bought that property, moved the road.
Moved road, which is why we own the property, because we
Yes.
bought additional property.
Yes.
That's what I was
Yes.
trying to figure out,
Yes.
why we're owning property that they're going across.
And that's all over the county. I mean, that's
Right.
everywhere.
No, right.
You know, and yes, it's just, but it's still a road commission property that nobody told them to build a road or put buildings on. So.
So they thought they owned the property?
No, they knew they didn't.
Oh. Can we sell them the property?
not directly to them, you might be able to put it up for sale. But you can't just go to them and say, here, you wanna buy this property, it's gotta go out to, it would have to go out to everybody and.
So if we did that and they were the high bidder, they could then build their road and we wouldn't have any say over it?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Eagle will have say over it.
Over that, yeah, going over that.
We had to remove muscles to do the bridge that we did.
Right, well, no, I agree, I understand that, but I guess,
Yeah.
is there a way they can own it and then they can deal with whatever it takes to get a road across there? Versus it being us and them trying to negotiate with us trying to do something.
Yeah, we wouldn't negotiate, 'cause there's no way we'd put anything across that river.
So the best case is to just keep ownership and just disallow it
Mhm.
and return it back to where
But
it's.
apparently just down the road, the other direction, there is a cut across to get to their field, or they can go to Montgomery and get to the field.
So they're not landed.
Oh, no, not by a long shot.
It's just the easiest way,
Shortest distance.
the shortest distance.
Well, just.
When you're going by horses.
Just west of Woodbridge Road, on the south side of Montgomery Road, they have built a sizable building
Mhm.
that they're using to store and load pumpkins out of.
But they're also using the big one there at Woodbridge, and so they wanna go directly to and from that field.
I wasn't aware they built a building down there.
That's huge.
Right in front of the dairy setup, they put a huge pole barn up.
Well, and they built another huge pole barn south off of Montgomery, about a half a mile west. And
Do
they,
they have full permits?
and they put a tube,
They should.
they had to, they put a tube there. There's a county drain that runs east and west along the south side of the road.
They had to go through Matt to do that, that's why they put such a big tube in, that's what Matt required.
And I think that's what they were thinking, that was so easy to do with Matt, they can just do the same here. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
But they
that
didn't,
ain't gonna work.
they didn't get permission from anybody to do this.
No, they just trucked dirt across.
They didn't
the
even
road
ask if
and
they
set
could
it forward.
drive across there, let alone build it. So anyway, more to come on that one too, I'm sure that one will clear up.
That'll be back.
And with that, I believe,
No, got it.
Oh.
Send out the motion.
yes. What, a couple meetings ago, you agreed to hold off on sending the audit out until we got our Act 51. We still haven't got our Act 51, and apparently not much anybody has. I brought it up at Jackson, Julie's the accountant up there, and she's like, oh yeah, we got ours approved, back early this year. I'm like, really? And so she got to digging, and she's like, you know what? Every year in the past, MDOT has sent back, approved, this year it said received, which is what
I
ours
got
says.
that too.
They haven't approved much of any of them yet, they're so far behind. So, really after doing a lot of digging and looking at it, the audit report and the Act 51 report are really basically the same figures in different formats. It's roughly the same, but they're different. Is it something you would want to consider of going ahead and issuing the audit report as presented? If in fact we have for some reason a change out of the Act 51 that would change the audit for some reason, I think it would have to get addressed anyway, but.
And when he says if there's a change, it doesn't change the numbers, it just might change.
Yes,
the
line items in
item.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bottom line is still the bottom line. It's,
Right.
they didn't find anything significant with the audit.
X amount of dollars.
If they come up with a line item that don't match up, that's where the Act 51 report would identify that. And so really, in the grand scheme of things, probably doesn't
No, just-
make a difference, a huge difference. If you're okay with giving out the existing audit report as presented, I would be okay.
We should rescind that previous motion.
We probably need to address that previous motion. And at that point, does it really need a motion?
I don't, if we just say yes,
distribute the,
No, just to resend it, I mean,
to resend it, we
Yeah.
would.
but then no,
For
we
anything
don't
new
need
from
it.
here on out, I don't know if you don't need to do a motion to say, okay, yeah, we can give out the audit report for this year.
no, just rescind the other one.
Mhm.
And then, when the Act 51 report comes, if the county or somebody wants a copy, we can by all means give a copy, it's not a big deal, but it doesn't hold up the audit. That work for you guys?
It'll make everybody happy.
So, I guess we would need a motion to rescind that, previous motion.
So moved.
Support.
Any more discussion? No, Bob, you can't discuss it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. They got their report.
And so then I would like to be able to issue the audit report as presented to the county and the regular
Townships.
townships that we give to.
Sounds good to me.
You have the green light.
And I'll put on my red light and be done.
You're done?
Mhm.
Wow.
So I have some follow-up questions for you. Okay, so back to the territorial road bridges.
Yes.
Has there been a contractor named yet that was awarded the bid?
Well, they technically have been awarded. We've got the ones that bid on it. Millbacher is the lowest bidder, which is the ones doing the M49 bridge.
Okay.
They also did drove our pilings for the Camden Road Bridge. So they're the low bidder, and that's who will be awarded through MDOT once it's officially done. But
So, and their bid is a package, they're doing both of them.
yes.
Okay.
They have to be done by September of 24.
When that e-signature comes through, that's gonna be one of the
Yeah.
things right now holding that up, is
Yeah.
getting the e-signatures from you guys.
We have to have those e-signatures done, then MDOT will award it, and 10 days from award, they can start. Now, that's not saying they're gonna rip out the bridges in 10 days, that just means they can start doing the prep work, and they've been officially awarded it, and they can start.
When will we see those?
What's that?
The e-signature.
As soon as I get this information, I mail it off to them, I don't know how quick they turn it around, but I would think
And I'll
Very
have
long.
within
them
the next day or
today.
two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you, in terms of, so once that gets done, will they somebody communicate with you in terms of when they actually wanna physically start?
Yes, at that point, once it's awarded, then we have to set up a pre-con meeting and sit down with the contractor, and I'll have Charlie here and whoever we need from here, and we'll sit down and hash out what they wanna do, what we'll allow them to do, when, and we'll have all that.
So I guess then a follow-up question would be, we're, relatively close to winter. Do you anticipate that they would wanna start ripping out
No,
one of the
so-
bridges now? or do you-
Again, I don't wanna speak for them until we meet with them, but the way it's kind of been presented through MDOT is they would expect them to do a lot of the preparatory work throughout the winter, and then early spring, possibly then take the bridges out. Now, I don't wanna speak for them until we actually talk to them,
So
but
you think there's a reasonable chance that we would continue to be able to use the bridges until early spring?
hopefully, we'll definitely be able to use them through harvest.
Yeah.
After that, I guess we'll have to deal with the contractors. They seem to be pretty good to work with out there on the Camden Road Bridge, and
So have you guys given any thought again to a detour route? I mean, because we've got problems with Camden Road.
we'll have to design one.
And that
all part of
would
it,
be, that
yeah.
would be the closest.
That'll be part of what they have to agree to
Yeah.
too, is the detour and,
But Camden Road, east of Camden, there's 2-3 miles in there that is really bad.
we'll just have to work on that as we get there, but yeah, any of them that, this is our road, so the detour is on us, it's not like MDOT's putting
Right.
traffic onto it, so we can charge them for stuff. So we'll have to.
Well, it's
maintain it.
interesting, it's the same chunk of road that if we were to, if they were to agree to repave some road to do that, the bridge on the north side of Camden, it's the same chunk of road.
Well, maybe we wait until everything's done and then get them to help.
Well, I don't think we can wait. Because if these bridges have to be finished by the 24th of September of next year,
Well, I'm saying wait until all the bridges are done, let all the traffic beat the heck out of them, and then fix them then and get MDOT to help participate in fixing them.
yeah.
Gosh.
I mean, worst case scenario, we're gonna need to crush and chip. And depending on how many miles that is, they need it anyway.
Well, there's no question, it
It's
needs
just a
to
matter of fixing it in the budget. We can detour them down into Ohio, I guess.
If I was a truck driver, that's what I would do.
And to be honest with you, we can set up all the detours you want, people are gonna find the route that they wanna take, and they're gonna take it. No matter where those signs point them. So if a trucker knows a way around the scale or a way around the detour, they're gonna take it.
Old business.
Okay, let's see, I've got a couple more questions here. We didn't talk at all today about the Allen Township Bridge. We talked about that one on Quahog Creek Road, about maybe closing it.
It needs to be closed, I guess I just gotta pull the Band-Aid off and.
Okay. And then, the Elm Road Bridge, and we have any update on that one? Okay.
I asked Charlie if he's heard anything from the critical bridge packaging that we did, and he said that probably won't be out until at least the end of the month, if not mid-November.
Okay.
And then maybe we'll find out what, if any, bridges got selected.
If they vote on it.
The Allen one, that's gonna be a local
And so is the Elm
between
Road.
us, well, yeah, both
We
of them will
know,
be.
we know that.
Yeah, so those won't be part of the
Critical bridge.
critical bridges, but hopefully, at least one of them can probably be done with a timber deck and use the existing, abutments, but.
Okay, well, I don't know whether this is old business or new business, but we talked about there were 2 trucks that were available. And you were gonna,
There's actually a bunch more than that, come to find out. He's actually got like 10 of them.
well, in that case, can we get a discounted price?
No, they just,
Can we buy a bargain, or buy a fleet, or?
they came up with, their final price was, I got it over on my desk, $389,000 per tandem. And basically set up the way we would normally do it. It's a little bit different, it's different type of, the company's Bonnell, so it's a little bit different, but it's the same basic. These actually have, I believe they have live bottoms in them, so you don't have to raise your box to spread your salt and
A
everything.
dual.
Yeah, a dual box. And they're sitting at $389 for tandems. And after talking with Joe and Kevin and some of them, that I think we just stick with tandems if we do that and not worry about a single axle.
So he's got 2 light bottoms,
Oh,
or?
he's got like 10 of them sitting over there, I guess.
Well, one of the questions we had for you 2 weeks ago when we talked about this is, from a budgetary standpoint, can we do it?
I haven't got that yet.
Okay. So I guess there's no point in pursuing this discussion any farther.
That's why I didn't bring it up, but yes, I've gotta get this year's budget closed out, next year's budget approved, and that'll tell me where we're sitting.
Where you're sitting there.
Well, maybe it's possible.
I think we should be able to, just on the top of my head, because we have set aside like $1 million a year for capital improvement for equipment. It's just a matter of what other equipment.
And maybe we can only buy 1 now instead of 2. I mean, but if,
So my
They'll be
question
coming to you.
is if trucks are 2 years out to be built, why are these sitting on the lot and not being sold to others?
I take it he's specifically trying to, and this is a dealer over in Wisconsin. He's specifically trying to hedge his bet, and I think he's bought all these trucks, built them, and then figuring I'll easily get rid of them, and he probably will. And if we probably wait too long, they will be gone.
Right.
So I think he's probably built them for quite a bit less than what he's offering, and it's just money making.
Is this price a high price as compared to if we were to order them?
No, actually, the swap loaders are actually pushing a little over 400.
Okay,
But you get a couple other boxes and stuff with those too. So the 189 for a tandem axle, fully, front plow, belly plow, wing,
It does have.
light
a-
bottom, yes.
Okay.
That's right in line with.
389, right, is that what you said?
So these front plows these trucks got, are they the side delivery type plow, or are they Highway.
They're dual action.
they're swivel, or you got a swing to them?
Yep. I guess I'd call it a Mickey Mouse plow, but it's a straight curve that you can angle either way, not just the one direction.
It's not
Perfect.
the one that has the big, for rolling action for delivery. Those
Not
are,
the one you're thinking of.
I see them down Ohio a lot.
No, that's just kind of a bi-directional plow.
They had one down at MDOT in Adrian that was a mailbox destroyer. It was the right height with the right delivery, that would just wave them out.
Was that with you or?
No.
Yeah,
I had one of the old routes, the old jobs as well.
But anyway, yes, we're digging and all that.
Well,
I would like to see too, but I wanna make sure, cause that's gonna be better than half of the capital outlay budget for the entire year.
Well, rather than risk losing everything, can we approve the purchase of one today?
Well, they've said that they'll hold two.
Okay,
They're
they
just gonna hold
have
it for right
said
now. Yes, right now they're on hold until we can,
You got to put a deposit on them?
no, he seems to be decent to work with. Joe's been talking with him quite a bit, but,
Okay.
so they said they were willing to hold two of them, cause come to find out he does have not just tandems, but singles and other equipment that he's
You gotta
built.
get them repainted, or?
Nope, they're Omaha orange.
Oh, my goodness.
So I think that, by the next meeting, we need to be able to make a decision. Because the ones that we ordered a year ago, it's still gonna be close to a year before we get them, right?
Year and a half.
Yeah.
There really wasn't no set
It depends on truck and trailer, how
fast.
quick they can turn them around, and they were still waiting on the other two to come in, period.
that's gonna do that.
But every one of them will be assigned to the state front lines, and then as a new one comes in, it'll get pushed out. So the oldest of 6 will get pushed out into the county.
Let's see. Okay, I had asked for if there was a map available with all of the primary roads in the county that was marked. This map here has all of the blacktop roads marked, but there's blacktop roads in every township that are local roads. And so looking at this map,
There is one version that's floating around, I think I've got one of them, that does specify between local and primary. When we need some new maps made, one a little bit bigger and to identify all the different classes of roads.
I really think that every road commissioner ought to have something like that. So that's something I'd like to see pursued.
It's an older map, but it does have that classification on there. But I want to get some new maps in total in general, 'cause I don't know if we've got that many left, so I hand out to the public and that anyway. So it's time to have new maps done and have them updated.
That's it for now.
In my travels looking at corn, I went down Spots Road, it needs some attention. Jefferson Township. From Bird Lake and that,
Okay, old business, communications workshop.
All of what you listed.
Is everything Bird Lake 99?
What was your second question?
Communications workshop. Who's going? Is anybody going?
Yeah.
I'd like to try to send, Sarah?
I haven't talked to her.
Okay.
That's the 8th of November. When is the registration deadline? Okay, October the 20th. Well, that's not far away anymore, is it?
That was, I know,
That's why I put it on there, it's like tomorrow.
it was sent out a couple weeks ago to the emails asking,
Right,
so everybody was notified. I believe it got asked
they're in the board meeting.
a couple board meetings
Right.
ago.
Right, we knew about this last
Mhm.
board meeting.
Mhm.
We just wanted, before the deadline hits,
Right.
we just wanna make sure. If everybody wants to attend, we need to get them registered.
I have no objection, all Sarah. That's her job.
I think that's
I
a good
agree too.
idea.
I think that's a
All right.
fine idea. No, and,
Oh, no.
no, it's there.
So are you saying her communication is bad?
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
I said, so Mark's saying her communication is bad?
No.
I don't know about hers, but ours in general is. Any benefit that we can get there is,
Yep.
How are we coming on the resolution for the brine battle? You got anything going on that, or?
they kinda briefed that at the SAM conference, they're still haggling over it, I should say, but they're at least holding off on enacting anything until all the players, CRA, the MTA, all the major players are gonna sit down with Eagle and try to come up with a
All right,
resolution, but nothing's getting done. I think they pretty much said nothing will get done this year. It'll be next year's before it even thinks about getting a resolution.
I'll ask when we go to that conference then on the 22nd. Some of the commissioners up there.
I'm sure a lot of them
No,
will be asking.
they'll be wanting to talk, and I would imagine that.
Denise Donahue from CRA got up and, elaborated a little bit on all that, so she's got her thumb on that one, and
Okay. That kinda interests me.
well, come to find out, I guess she elaborated a little bit, it's not necessarily the salt or the brine that they're concerned of. The mineral well brine evidently has some other little trace minerals, that's what they're concerned with. And so they're wanting to see how much of these trace minerals are in it and how easy are they going.
How far down they
So come to find out, it wasn't what is really CRA was looking at to begin with. It's more of these little
So
byproducts
this
of
is
the.
Eagle changing their tune, or?
Well, it could be part of that. It could be a miscommunication on what they wanted, because they've already regulated oil well brine,
Correct.
but apparently oil well brine doesn't have these
So
minerals
we go
that
back
mineral
to
well brine does. That's why and that's why I couldn't understand, why were they regulating stricter on mineral well versus oil well?
Yeah,
Because they were allowing you to put more oil well brine down than mineral well. And well, that's the reason, is there's other things in the mineral well brine that isn't in the oil well brine that they're concerned with.
but they're still wanting the permitting process
Oh yeah, they're still trying to hold to,
and driver log books and,
yeah,
okay.
now when they all get together and start talking, who knows where that.
Yeah,
Might change.
that might be able to be haggled out.
Back to the communications workshop, I had thought about going, but that's on a Wednesday. I have 2 township board meetings that night. I need to go to them. So,
Well, I'll put out there again, if any of you are missing a township board meeting, you need me to go cover one, or specifically have an issue, just say something and I'll do what I can to show it.
Well, thank you.
New business. I don't show any, and Bob covered a lot, so anybody got anything for new business?
I just have a question and a comment with regard to the budget process for 2024. You know, here we are in early October, and, you know, at the latest, we ought to give final approval in early December of our budget. And by
I'd like to see it next month.
by state statute, we have to, you know, we have to hold a public hearing before we can approve it, and that has to be, public notice has to be given at least 6 or 7 calendar days before we hold a public hearing, so, yeah, we need to start moving in that direction.
Okay.
Anything else? No. Public comment? Alan?
Alan Andrews, Reading Township. I've talked about this before, and it, with Bob talking about culverts and things, I thought I would bring this back up. On Long Lake Road, south of Carter, just south of the campground at Berry Lake, there's a house that burnt a couple years ago, William Kirby. And he rebuilt the house, and when he rebuilt it, he decided to put a drive around the house. He's up on a hill. So he's got an asphalt drive, he comes in, he can drive all the way around and come back down to the road. The soil there is sand, nothing but sand. Last spring, I called you, Bob, Mark and Alan came out and looked at this. There's natural springs in this sand that boil. Well, right now it's really dry. But as we get into winter, this is going to come back. And the dirt, when it rains, when we had it washes right down onto Long Lake. There's a lot of dirt. There's no culvert at the driveway. Just south of his driveway, there is a culvert that water will run across and go back into Berry Lake. And William called me a while ago because Mark had promised that he would come out and they would clean that culvert out or they would do something with it. Nothing's happened. And to me, there should be a culvert under the road because that water, when it does come down, we want it to go the proper way, not out onto the road. Last spring, when I called, it was freezing. So it's a potential dangerous situation. And I know I've talked to the board about it, but I wanted to bring that up again.
Thanks. Yeah.
I have some questions. You were talking about this Ranger Solar Farm. Where can I get some information on that? Is there any website or something?
Ooh, I guess you could probably look up Ranger Power. That's the name of the company.
Where's this?
And they're putting it in Fayette Township.
Is that where they're gonna, I've been hearing some rumblings on it. Are they doing some clear cutting on a woodland?
Yep.
To put that in?
Probably.
So they're gonna pile all this brush up and burn it like they did at the airport?
No, they're chipping it.
I think they chipped it up on
They took some.
Is that where he's getting the wood?
I don't know.
There's a couple big piles over there.
That just doesn't quite seem right. They're putting in solar to sequester carbon and then they rip a tree out that sequesters carbon. I don't know how that's gonna be beneficial. I just wondered if anybody ever looked at that, and did the math and find out if it's really beneficial.
I don't know.
Cause I highly doubt it is, or it's gonna be borderline. So,
They pretty much worked with the Fayette Township board, and the only thing that we have to do is where they cross underneath the road is all we really got. But yeah, I'd say it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it doesn't, but I guess government, that's just the way it is. All right, well, thanks.
Anybody else? Yeah, Don.
I just wanna make sure I have that right, talking about the lease vehicle, Bob, you say there won't be any charges after the first year? Or
Well, from when I talked to them, I stopped putting it on my time card back in September. September sometime.
Okay, like
And from-
September to next September, there shouldn't be any charges.
Yep.
Wanna make sure I had that right.
For the
And-
car or the
The
phone.
phone, okay. And, could you tell me how many road commissioners are up for reelection next year? Does anybody know?
3.
Three?
Three.
Really? There's 3 seats? Who's up for reelection?
I am.
And mine.
Okay, I thought maybe 2, but
That
I
are,
wasn't sure.
You run?
one of the new positions a 4-year term and the other
Yes,
one a
there's
6-year.
4
term.
year and 2 sixes.
Yeah,
4
so
and 2
Mike's
sixes?
term would be a 6-year term, and then which one of you is a 6-year term, do you know?
Well, we can choose whatever we
You can
want.
choose whichever.
Okay.
His current seat is a 6-year term, my current seat is a 4-year term. I believe is what,
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Okay. One other question. I have some para requests in, and I know you always end up giving them to me, but then you ask other questions. I've been dealing with Jackson County too, and they're really good about giving me my request and no charge, which you haven't charged me. But,
That's part of the para.
right, but do we have to, well, even Freedom of Information Act, Jackson hasn't been charging, but do we have to go through this back and forth for a reason?
Well,
We're
the
gonna
thing
do it
is,
anyway.
what I'm asking is, when you ask for something, I'm asking, what's it for? What does it pertain to? Because we're not in negotiations, and unless it has to do with like an ongoing grievance or arbitration or something like that, that shouldn't fall under a para
I
request.
mean, the sum's the same that I get each 2 or 3 months,
You gotta understand, that's a lot of work
you know?
to ask for the same things when there's no reason behind it.
Well, there's a reason.
Well, that's what I'm asking, what's the reason? That's all I'm asking.
Well, it's for investigation or some for grievances, possible grievances also,
Okay.
so.
I guess I just need to know that.
Well, that's not fair so much if it's your stuff, like if I was asking for it, it'd be one thing, but if he's asking for it and he has to tell you, there should be another, like Kevin or whoever's that next line in command, maybe should have that conversation, but if they're pulling your paperwork, he shouldn't have to inform you of that. That becomes that's tough.
with paperwork.
But I'm just saying if
Yeah.
they are,
All I'm saying is under para, it's, the reasoning behind it is supposed to be given. That's part of the para request. And that's never come. So we've given you
is
a lot
there
of
a
things.
policy on para requests?
Look it up, it's,
I just was curious.
Yeah, Public Employment Relations Act.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
I've got, looking at my notes again, we're talking about a farm that's having watershed problems because of the rooftops and pavements and stuff. Is there rainwater detention pond there or anything? A lot of industry parks and Walmart and a lot of places do that. Anyway, has that even been looked at? 'Cause, I would take it on myself, if I'm flooding my neighbor out, I'd do something about it, I wouldn't expect somebody else to take care of it.
a lot of farmers don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
Yes, you are right, they do put water before.
Selective enforcement on that rainwater center, so I think.
Normally you gotta go through an RCS.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask it. So if somebody fills in a ditch, per se, the Amish, I'm just gonna ask this as a general question, so I'm curious, you don't just go out and dig it back up, or is there any accountability to them, or not even just to them, to anyone? Are there not rules to fill in ditches when the
Yeah, you should.
the road
One,
commission
you
ditch?
shouldn't be working in the right of way without a permit anyway.
Right,
How often that happens around every lake, around every subdivision. You know, if we tried to chase that down, we'd need the same amount of people we got just to chase down people that are.
I know, but if you run across it and it's blatant, I mean,
If
when they've
it's-
done something, I mean,
If
do
it's
they
not
have
causing a
accountability?
safety hazard to the motoring public, like if they did something and they put something in the right of way that somebody hit it, could cause a significant damage, something. Yes, we'll deal with it, we'll remove it, we'll tell them to remove it. Sometimes you've gotta let things go. I mean,
So if I fill in a couple spots in my ditch, you're gonna let it go?
Nope, we're gonna dig it up.
Because I got a couple spots I'd like to fill in, I'm just gonna be honest about it. But I mean,
When
when
you
they
start
ditched
pushing-
Weston Road, I know they paid a fortune. I have all the dirt out back of my house, cause I let them dump it, but I'm just telling you, I mean,
Oh, they're
they
everywhere.
worked hard on that road.
They're everywhere.
A lot of money, but, I mean, there is a spot I'd like to ditch. It's like pulling horse.
But same thing, if
Well, I mean,
you're,
I'm gonna come revert back and say, I mean, that's all, I'm gonna go home and tell my husband, listen, I heard it from the fox's mouth. I can, and I'll have that filled in before he gets home, I mean, I'm just gonna take the blame for it, but if it's that easy to break the rules, I'm just saying.
a lot of people break rules. We
Thank
can
you for
handle,
that.
we
Don't
can-
drive up my road tomorrow, that's what I'm gonna tell you. Or read Mark Mapes and Kelly have a domestic on 911 this time.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
Mom?
I'd like to get caught up on the Sterling Road with Mr. Godfrey's direction. A lot of the time that the water that's been coming off his land is, being washed and then goes under towards US 12. There's a small pocket that's there. And I've, brought up the issue, sometime back with Bob, and that other gentleman, I forgot his name, that was here. Anyway, the amount of water that's washed through that, it's the old asbestos cement culvert in underneath 12, that once you release off of Sterling and it goes into that small little swampy, sort of that pie-shaped corner, that the water then, goes right over there, and of course, it's gotten plugged. There is a tree that is standing, and it's rooting into it, and there's a hole that once the culvert, probably about 7 feet in from the actual beginning of the culvert, of the cement one, where the root then has pushed a little bit too. There's a hole there that is washed at, and then going across onto the opposite side, a lot of that water, then it just gushes gushes. So I'm mainly concerned about that's coming down, at how and what volume as what it did before. And then washes out the field that Mr. Godfrey has. He has a small little area right there in the creek beds. And then it goes over and washes directly underneath Millens Road, which then that has been replaced as well. And that then goes on to Kathy's property, which then also washes Kathy's property. So I'm curious about where the culverts are, because we looked at the other one, Half Moon Lake Road gets filled, and that goes and cuts back upon all the way down 12. So there's 2 different areas that we're looking at. It doesn't have the woods any longer. It doesn't have the slow down of the rocks, necessary or need. And then we found a sizable stone twice now that had been plugged up on the cement one, as I was mentioning, on 12, that has slowed down. And then when you watch the gush of water come out, it's spraying way up over the stone. So it's like, can we not talk to MDOT once this is gonna get started again? I hope that we can look at that replacement of that and maybe find another route. Because frankly, it goes on to Kathy's and it washes on Tim's as well. But are they gonna, maybe they'll try a roundabout down there. Who knows what they'll try. There'll be a new thing. There will be, there's some questions, about that place. But that was just one of the, I guess in the particulars was, and I just wanted to try to get updated where that's actually gonna go at. And if there's gonna be other, like the stone that Tim has put down there before. I think the county put some down, so.
and that really didn't work too good. The most of that's been washed out. To be honest with you, we went and looked at it.
I will go down and look at it, because then the new telephone poles that was set down there. So that means that it's coming out further towards the road, or really that is a washout. So is that gonna be concerning, if you said those are washed out, is that gonna be very concerning about where he's placing this, and where I was mentioning it was going back and turning around towards Millens Road, and that means out to Kathy's, which then washes on theirs, because they do their farming there too as well. So what can we look at and, change the direction? I really don't know. That you guys cleaned out that corner pretty good, I think, on that Mellons and Sterling, or the 5 corner thing, whatever you wanna call it there. That was, pretty damn good as far as I was concerned. Didn't see any more flooding, but the opposite direction is on Tim, from where his home is. I don't know what the next road is. That would mean, east of his home, down at the very bottom.
Straight road.
Is that straight road? Thank you. When we had one of the particular floods, that whole thing was flooded. Everything there was flooded. Now with mine, I get the culvert that's coming from Tim's field, then crosses over Millens, very close to House Neck Road, and it crosses over and has a little directional, it comes over to mine, and then floods mine out. Even I have a, roughly about a 70-foot, we measured it last time. We have about 3.5, 4 inches of water that then goes over what we call the permanent drive. And it gushes all the way from that Millens Road all the way over here. Again, nothing to slow it down with. And then it comes out to US 12. I think we have that big 4-foot culvert there, and we have 2 guardrails on the side. And yeah, so it's very concerning that if we don't look at what we're doing with trying to avert the way it's gonna harm others or their properties, we need to look at that. And I'm just challenging, in a way, we need to look at.
I agree with you. I guess I'm not aware of any rocks in the culverts, and we can take a look at those, because people like to.
Oh, you
plug,
can't.
People like to plug culverts to back their water up, and for all kinds of reasons.
Well, the lady in the home at the corner there, her basement floods, because that then ponds in that small piece of pie.
And things like that we can work on to try to get the water to flow where it wants to go. I've never been good at redirecting water. It's gonna go where it wants to go, downhill. So what he's projecting to do or wanting to do isn't really changing volume or flow. It's just putting it in a tube that then doesn't wash out the dirt, which then could wash over to the road and wash the road out. So he's asking to put a tube in there, then fill that ditch in to make it a normal, there would still be a ditch there, but make it a normal ditch that could be mowed, maintained, whatever. All the water that is going through there right now still would go through there just in a tube. Does that make any sense?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I don't foresee adding any water for the volume and everything. It's still what it is what it is. It just wouldn't erode the bottom of the ditch line and take the chance of eroding back into the, right now it's 5, 6, 7 foot away from the road, but it wouldn't take long and it could
undermine the road.
So the volume of water is what I was concerned with. Again,
the volume should
it's
stay
washed
the
the
same.
stone, you said. So that means if he puts a culvert, it'll go a hell of a lot faster, and it won't slow down as much as well.
Yes, it
So
would
we
go
need to
faster, but
either-
it's still the same volume.
I'll go one.
And originally, actually, he was asking to put in a 12-inch single wall, which is corrugated.
Yeah.
That itself would slow it down. If we go bigger than the 12-inch, those normally go to a smooth wall, which allows it to go a little faster, but it's still the same volume.
Well, the corrugated, I'm in agreement with. It does make the ripple effect. It does slow down. They do need to be cleaned out every once in a while. That's another additional area. But we were asking for, not necessarily the ripple. We were looking at the flat bottom because of the turtles. Again, if we're gonna come around to these other places, the turtles are getting caught in these little 12-inch ones. And that just, stops the
That'd be a
turtle.
long slide.
Well,
turtle.
well, you talk about the wildlife, and of
Yep.
course you get, into that, and then I guess the governor comes up with that. So are we gonna look at where we can put the flat bottoms in some of these other areas? You're talking about Camden, or you're talking about Allen, or wherever it will be. Can't we then look at that as well, because it's swamp, and we do have nature that goes in there, and we start losing a lot of, the turtles. We do have a lot of those cross over there at the glacial aggregate one. That was very concerning, and MDOT, and I was willing to buy that one from Jackson to, put that across there, so we didn't have the turtles coming across that they're good sized turtles, we don't need to kill them, on the highway. Just one more, and I apologize. The one I'm asking about is the access to glacial aggregate. It is on Sterling Road, and that backside is that was rainbow trout, designated as, not to be disturbed. And it has got a culvert in there, and that was done some time back. Now, I can't find a permit that could have been done with. Now, that's not a matter of someone just filling in, you can't go back and look at. This is a matter of somebody's doing it and has done it and can be looked at, because that itself is not just you guys like the Amish filling in something. This is big trucks. So.
And we don't control that. That's strictly controlled by what was DEQ, now Eagle.
Now Eagle, correct. And that
Eagle
was,
would have the permit.
no,
If
they don't.
there's any permit at all, Eagle would have it.
Right.
If we
There
don't
was
permit
no,
stream
there was no permit drawn for it.
Okay.
So I was looking for that, and I can't find it. So if you can guide me there, anybody at Eagle, I'm glad to, because I cannot find it.
I hate to stir the pot, but John Scabina, the Eagle is the one that we deal with, and he's the one that regulates us. He's got this entire area for the watershed.
Okay.
So
Well,
John
I'm fine
Scabina
with
is,
But it was a rainbow trout direction, so that was,
there's not many of those around either.
no, there's not. It's less and less. But thank
Anybody
you.
else?
I'm sorry.
Thanks, Bob. Anybody else? If not, we can stand adjourned.